Good morning and welcome to self tutorial number 3. I said in the last one that we'd be getting into the coding, but really quick I wanted to do just a short little video showing some of the shortcuts and conveniences that I didn't show in the last two, the overview videos, just because I wanted you to see how things work, but there's actually easier ways to do some of the things. So let's just take a look at the menu. If you go to menu, you could just click new object and there you get it. Last time what I did is, every time I was going over into the shell and doing open close brackets, get it. Then another thing that is really convenient is if you go on here, you could do collapse all, and that collapses everything, which wasn't a big deal here, but when it gets really gnarly and there's just tons of objects everywhere, that's pretty good. Say you accidentally swipe over because you're doing something and you're like kind of bump out and you're like, oh man, I slid off my world and I can't find my way back. Well, you could just go and do cleanup, which you could do anytime, and it just kind of sets everything nice and puts the garbage can over here and aligns everything all nice and closed like that. So one thing I did in the last video is I was moving slots from one object to another, and I was clicking on the slot and clicking move, and then I could move it over and putting that back. But also, if you click on the outliner instead of the slot, you get move slots, and then that moves all the slots. So like you can move them all over and then just move the one back that you didn't want to move. So another way that you can move things around is you could click on an outliner and do copy slots, and then that creates basically a twin of your outliner. It's not named the same, it's not named bank accounts, but it's an outliner with the same slots. Even though there is all this great GUI for creating objects and outliners and new slots, you could also just code in a whole outliner, and I'll show you how to do that. So here's shell, and if you remember last time we just open close brackets and get it. So this is an empty outliner, but really it's actually shorthand for an empty outliner, because technically it should be the two bars inside of it. And so we get it, and oh, that's right, if you put these bars in the middle, you have to have at least one space. Yeah, two bars together can mean other things. So, but what we could do is we could just write in a whole outliner filled with slots. Each slot is separated by a period. That guy and that, and get it. Whoa! Check it out. Okay, and here's the last granddaddy shortcut. If you go to menu, there's preferences, and you go to preferences. Here's an outliner with preferences options in here. If you go to preferences outliner, pop that open, then there is Kevooidal mode. And here I'll read the comments. When set to true, outliners will use the experimental Kevo-like mode and will show all parent slots. We could Kevooidal true, do it. And now you can see our outliners have an extra category here called shared slots. So if you pop that down, you can see your parent slots. You don't have to go in here and pop out parent and look at them. I'll be not having it on for my videos just so my outliners look like everybody else's outliners, but I definitely am using it. Just remember though, this isn't like a normal program where if you change the preferences, that's how it is every time you open up self. You just change a snapshot, so you'd have to come in here and save the snapshot. So I just changed bank snap. So that means whenever I open bank snap, this mode will be on, but if I open up other snaps of mine where I haven't changed it, it's just going to be how it was before. Russell Allen down in Sydney told me there was a couple other shortcuts I could add, so I'm adding him in here. He's a very nice man. In fact, everybody in the Yahoo self-interest group is very, very attentive and helpful, and even the original developers, David Unger and Randy Smith, are in there chatting it up and being supportive. There's some really smart guys. Just talking with those guys, it's like being a guest character on The Big Bang Theory. Here in Lobby, default behaviors and globals are the two parent slots, and if I click here on this button, now I have both of those outliners open. I remember when I swished away and got lost, another way to get back is to just double click and go home. Yes, and we're back home. So in the next video, we'll start with the different text fields for coding and just creating some simple data slots.